So today we're going to talk about bipolar mood charts, why they are important, what they are. So a bipolar mood chart is where you rank multiple different factors on a scale of 1 to 10, and ideally they add up to 100. So you have a 1 out of 100 being the most severe depression possible, and a 100 out of 100 being the most severe mania possible. This allows you to monitor your mood state from day to day, week to week. And the reason you need this is because it's very hard to think 3 months ago objectively, how were you feeling, or how were you feeling 2 months ago? Because memory is a tricky thing. And so you need objective measurements, not subjective measurements. Trying to implement therapies or adjust medications in conjunction with a medical professional. So here is what I use for my mood chart. So all of these are ranked from 1 to 10. I usually don't go below a 3 in the past or above a 7. So you might want to adjust this and the different subheadings underneath to your individual case. So basically the left here is a depressive state. The green is normal, which is going to be a 5. This is below a 5. And this is above a 5, which is going to be hypomania or mania. So there are 10 variables here that I go through, split into 3 different sections: physical energy and biology, cognitive speed and focus, and social and emotional. So the first one I start with is sleep need. A low state would be laying in bed for a couple hours, just not being able to get out of bed. Normal would be 8 hours of sleep. Hypomania would be waking up and jumping out of bed immediately, feeling fully charged. For appetite, a low state would be craving a lot of dense, heavy carb, sugary foods. 2 to 3 times a day. Normal hunger following a diet plan would be normal. A high mood state would be forgetting to eat or stimming with a lot of cheap candies and carbs designed to starve myself to keep me in an elevated hypomanic state. Energy would be where you can barely move, you can barely get anything done. Normal would be movement is purposeful and calm. 7 would be a lot of fidgeting, a lot of pacing, a lot of talking to yourself, kind of just an internal hum to life, kind of like one of those high voltage power lines you hear. Moving on to speed and thought pace, your thoughts are very negative. You're stuck on looping on how every aspect of your life is terrible, even some minor thing. Normal is you have clear linear thoughts. They occur one at a time. A high mood state would be having multiple tabs open, jumping between different ideas and tangents, combining unrelated things together. Decision-making confidence, quiet, long pauses. Low volume would be a low state. Normal conversation would be a normal state. And a high state would be talking faster than usual, interrupting people, having pressured speech. Concentration, a low state would be staring at a screen or wall, unable to even start the most basic tasks. Normal would be being able to finish what you can start. A high mood would be being easily distracted or hyper-focused on a specific idea or project to the point of obsession. Moving down to social and emotional. Social seeking, a low state would be avoiding text, not talking to anyone, self-isolating. Normal would be responding to people comfortably. A high mood state would be reaching out to old friends, taking risks romantically, oversharing, and seeking thrills. Irritability, a low state would be crying easily, feeling hollow, empty, and worthless. Normal would be able to handle minor frustration, and a high mood state would be quicker anger, or in the higher still states, like a godlike euphoria. Self-perception, a low state would be basically hating yourself. Everything you do feels like a failure. Normal would be having a realistic view, objective view of what you're capable of. And a high mood state would be thinking you have all these amazing ideas, feeling like you're spiritually special or chosen. For environmental sensitivity, when you're in a low state, the world feels dull, gray. The sky is just full of clouds all the time. Normal would just be normal light and sound. You don't really pay attention to it. It's just part of the background. And a high mood state would be where colors look vivid, music feels profound, physical sensations are greatly heightened. And so the end goal is to be able to create something like this, where you can actually create an annual chart that tracks your average moods. Pattern has historically followed a very seasonal trend. That is significantly different this year because I've implemented a number of therapies that are flattening out this curve to the point where I'm almost euthemic. But you can see from this chart in previous years, basically I follow the sun. There's like a 90% correlation with my moods and temperature and the weather. And so you see we have like 30 at the bottom here, usually around February. And then we have a high around the summer solstice of around 70 out of 100 on the mood scale. And just to show you how I recorded, I have one spreadsheet. This is very sloppy. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to do this without printing out a legend. So I basically just type a 1 to 10 number for each of the 10 attributes. And then I have a sum column and it adds up to the sum here. And then I take that and put it in my master data sheet. So for example, yesterday I was a 51.5 out of 100, very close to 50, basically a normal baseline. And I do keep a number of other data, which I'm going to go into in another video, such as my health data from my watch, the average temperatures, precipitation, hours of sleep, weight, and stuff like that. So, I would highly recommend keeping track of your mood states. It provides an invaluable amount of information that you can use to better treat your disorder.